Hey everyone, I know it's been a long time since I made a video. Sometimes I just don't feel like I have anything to say that anybody would be interested in. So I actually have some yarny things to say today, including I got a yarn haul from Joann's and I'm going to show you. So we'll just start off with that. So I needed some green because I just run out of green all the time. Whether I'm making one of those spring fling blankets, or I'm making a Jada folk art blanket, or I'm making some Zabbez things, I just never have enough green. So I ordered from Joann's because all the Big Twist was on sale for $2.49 a skein. It was like 40% off. Not as good as that deal a couple of years ago. Few years ago, it was 4 for $5. That was a killer deal. Anyways, so I got 3 skeins of this forest green, which it's coming out lighter than it really is because the overhead light. So I got 3 skeins of that. I think I got 2 skeins of this soft purple. And let's see, okay, 2 skeins of the eggplant, and let's see, what is this one? 2 skeins of the sapphire. It's not the same shade of sapphire that they used to produce. It is a little bit lighter, but that's okay. And let's see what else. Oh, 1 skein of the varsity yellow, and this one used to be a more orangey yellow. Now it looks very similar to Red Heart's bright yellow. It's like probably almost identical. And then 1 skein of the varsity orange. So, okay, so that's my Joann's yarn haul. And then I can finally show, oh, did I drop one? I hope not. I can finally show some of my Zabbez things. So he's starting a new series. Now understand, he is from the Netherlands and he publishes his books in the Netherlands, so they all have to be translated from Dutch to English, and he does the best that he can do. He actually speaks pretty good English. At least, he writes pretty good English. So when he gives us the patterns to test, he is looking for errors in the English, errors in the count, just any kind of error that we find. And at first, when I first started doing them a year and a half ago, he would leave in Dutch words, and those were kind of fun to find, but I haven't seen a Dutch word for a long time. So usually sometimes it's just like his English is a little off, and so between me and the other testers, we usually can find all his stuff. But remember, these things are published in the Netherlands in book form. Beautiful books. I kind of wonder if I got one of those books, if I would just, I don't even really need to read the instructions. I just need the stitch counts. So I've done a German pattern that way. Anyways, so this is the first one that I did, and of this new series that he's coming out with. I think he's done with all the anthropomorphic flowers for a while. So now he's doing anthropomorphic flying things, from birds to insects to tooth fairies, that kind of thing. So this first one is called Patrick Parrot. Here he is. And then this back has got all these little feathery things hanging down. So I did him quite a while ago, but he's part of the new series. Then, let's see, let me get this one all straightened out. Okay, then this one, I can't remember the character's name, but he's a stork, and with the little baby, and I'm thinking of just hot gluing this little baby on there, you know, either onto his beak or onto one of his hands. So that's him, that's the back part. And I'll link this pattern down below too, because you can get it in his Etsy shop. And then I've got these 3 little ones. You know, acrylic yarn gets really curly. I think he uses cotton, and he uses all number 2 yarn, and I'm using all number 4 yarn. Let me just get these little wings straightened out. But we have a little firefly, and then a couple of dragonflies. Let's see. And you can see they got the wings in the back that curl up. His don't curl up, mine curl up. But I think that's because I'm using acrylic. And of course his, when he makes them, because he's making them with number 2 yarn, are much smaller. So, then, I had a birthday last month. No, not last month. Last month was November. Okay, 2 months ago I had a birthday. And I got 2 gift certificates to Michael's. So, finally I decided I was going to redeem them. And so I put in a big order, 27 skeins of yarn. Everything from Craft Smart to Impeccable to Red Heart. So I'm waiting on this big package to come. And a big package did come. And I opened it up so eagerly, only to discover that was not what I ordered. They sent me 12 skeins of big blanket yarn, which I have never ordered in my life. I've never even bought that. It's not something I'm interested in buying. And so I called up customer service, got somebody who didn't speak good English, and I'm still not sure she totally understood. She said she was sending me a replacement order, although she kept saying, but your order has been delivered. And I was like, no, it's the wrong thing, totally wrong order. I mean, how can that get confused? I don't know. So I have 12 jumbo skeins of this blanket yarn, and it's the Bernat big blanket. So, you know, the strands are like as thick as your fingers, and it's that chenille yarn, I think. So I said, well, I need you to send me a UPS return label. And she said she would. It would take a couple days. It's been a couple days. I haven't seen anything. So if I don't see anything by Monday, I'm calling back and saying, look, I think there was some miscommunication. I was so frustrated with this gal on the phone that she was not understanding what the problem was. Anyhow, I have those. If Michael's told me, oh, just keep them, then I guess I would. But I don't want to. Now I have to go through the hassle of sending them back. Anyhow, okay, so that's all the yarny stuff. And when that yarn comes, I will show you. So the next thing I want to tell you is I'm sort of at that age now where I seem to be attending a lot of funerals. And since I've been out here, I must have attended 5 or 6 funerals. It's not since I've been in my new place. I mean, just since I've been with the landlady's tenant, because, well, she is about 6 years older than me, I think. And her relatives, her aunts and uncles were all in their 90s. Her mother was in her 90s. Her mother passed about 6.5 years ago. But just lots of her relatives, I've been to their funerals. So she had a relative pass, I want to say in early November, late October. And we went to the funeral on November 12th. And it was her first cousin's mother. So anyways, her aunt. And her first cousin lives really close to us. And in fact, brings us food an awful lot. And has really been so helpful to us that way. Not as much to me as it is to the landlady, because she just still doesn't have a functioning kitchen. But regardless, I mean, it turns out the love language of these two women is food. So there's always food. And even after Thanksgiving, there was just, they went out to eat for Thanksgiving, and still this cousin made a turkey and all the fixings and just brought us over a ton of it, which was great because I had a lot to eat on for a few days. Not great for my waistline, but it was just great to not have to worry about that food. And but anyway, so we go to this funeral, and it was in downtown LA, and there's some cemetery down there in downtown LA area that has an all Japanese section in the cemetery. And I'm sure we didn't go to the graveside thing. That was just for it's just really small for family. And but we did go to the memorial service in a big church down there. And what was really interesting at the service was that it was, I mean, me and this other woman, oh, I have to tell you about this other woman, this British woman. We're probably the only Caucasians in there, and it was fine. I don't have any problem with that. Don't think I do. Everybody else is Japanese, and because my landlady is Japanese, and it was so interesting to see that when people would go up to the coffin, that they would bow. It was so touching to see them honor this woman this way. Yeah, everybody they would bow as they came up, and then they would bow again before they left, and then they would bow to the cousin. It was just so touching. And then this cousin, now this is the one that whose love language is food. So afterwards, and there weren't a lot of people at the funeral. I would say under 50. But they had like a little luncheon thing afterwards. It was also still we were still in the church, and she had purchased all these bento boxes for everybody, but they had way over purchased bento boxes, and they were begging people, please take some home. So I'm gonna put a picture right here of what that bento box looked like. And I took home 2 extras. Well, then when the cousin and her husband came back from the gravesite thing, they brought over even more bento boxes. So I had bento boxes for a few days. That kept me fed. That kept the landlady fed. You know, we gave some to the workers that were here. I mean, they had a whole case full of extra bento boxes. And sushi. Oh, there's tons of sushi. Now I could just, I don't know how much sushi I could eat before I was full, but believe me, I could eat a lot of sushi. And they just had these huge platters of sushi and just replaced the sushi. And oh, it was pretty amazing. But what the main thing was that the funeral was just so, it was just so interesting how reverent everybody was to the woman. And she, this woman who passed, was the first Japanese woman in America to sell the, I think it's Shiseido line of cosmetics and beauty products. I'm not sure, I might be saying that wrong. It's not something I'm familiar with. But she was the first licensed seller in the United States for that product. And she had a huge store in downtown LA a long time ago, because this woman's been in a nursing home for quite a while because she had dementia. But yeah, just so reverent and so touching to see everybody bow to her. And yeah, it's kind of like at a military funeral, you see people salute the person who's passed. It's very touching to honor the person that way. So yeah, that's been going on here. We're kind of in a weather pattern right now of a little bit of rain, and it's cooling off. And speaking of cooling, oh wait, I got to tell you about the English woman at the funeral. Okay, so this English woman is a neighbor of the cousin, and we were asked if we could drive her to the funeral, and we said sure, no problem. So she came over, and she's probably in her 70s, and really sweet, real talkative, and so we're sitting in the church, and this was before the funeral started, her, the service, and all of a sudden she starts talking about Young Frankenstein, the movie, and I really wasn't listening and paying attention, and she started talking about Marty Feldman, and she said, yeah, that's my brother. So yeah, so I was sitting next to Marty Feldman's sister at the funeral, and in fact, because I just love English people, she was talking about how she used to go to lunch with some of her friends around here, and they used to go to this Chinese place that's near us. And I said, well, I'd be happy to go with you to that Chinese place because I happen to like it. And so she's very excited about that, and we're going to go pretty soon. I could care less that she's Marty Feldman's sister. I'm just happy to be with an English person. So, yeah, that was very interesting. Okay, so anyways, back to the weather. We're just in a kind of a weather pattern of cool and rain. And the other day I was sitting in my apartment, and I heard this rumble, and it sounded like thunder. And then I felt, more than I heard, a boom. You just kind of feel the shockwave. And so I texted the landlady, and I said, did you hear that? And she did. Well, what it was that her furnace went out. So she doesn't have any heat in her side. I can't get heat on my side. Now it's only down to like 65 in here, but if it gets too low, it's too cold for the parakeet. But the point is, if it got colder, I have no way to turn on the heat. And the guy is supposed to come on Tuesday and fix. So she's supposed to have a separate heating system from me, so I don't understand why, if hers went out, mine went out, but it all just blew. So yeah, we have no heat. So thankfully I have curtains over all my windows. They provide a little insulation. She has no curtains over her windows, and it gets colder on her side. But it is what it is. So we're expecting rain tomorrow, and I think Wednesday night is supposed to get down to 40, which is pretty cold for us here in LA. I've seen it in the upper 30s, felt it in the upper 30s. We've never gotten down to freezing or anything. And my little trees outside, well, they just have to tough it out. I can't do anything for them. Can't bring them inside. The cats will get them. Besides, I don't know what bugs are living in them, and I don't want to bring those bugs inside either. So they just get to stay outside. And let me give you a quick update on the ADU. They have painted. All the baseboards have been removed. So after they put the new flooring in, which I would assume is going to happen sometime this month, maybe, or early next month, then they will put the new baseboards in. Then those have to be painted. Then the doors have to be painted. All the framing painted. Then the doors need to have their doorknobs installed. And that's it for the inside work. There's still stuff on the outside of the house that needs to be fixed on both my side and her side. I mean, I have just bare studs exposed underneath the porch covering. Yeah, there's just bare wall studs and insulation that's just hanging out there, and that all needs to be walled in and stuccoed and whatever they do to it. And then there's a big hole in the wall on that side where they had to access some electrical, and there's just a hole left in the wall. I don't understand why those things have been left undone. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Anyways, that's it for this video. I'm sorry it's been so long between videos. I just really, honestly, sometimes I just don't feel like I have anything to say. And I know people really want to come to my channel for yarny stuff, but I don't even have a whole lot of yarny stuff. Oh, but one thing I did, one more yarny thing, is I'm making those Jada Folk Art blankets again. I have some great nieces and nephews that still need them. A lot of them have them already, and there's a few that don't, but these are very young kids. And so right now, like, here's one I'm working on. I have 3 more rows to go, which I'll finish in just a few minutes. But let's see. Here it is. And this one, the other ones have always been with a daytime sky, but this one I'm going to do a nighttime sky with some stars and stuff. So I'm doing this is looking blue, but this is actually a dark purple called Grape. And then I've got, well, there's a lot of green right there. That's like almost 2 skeins of green. And this will be a full skein of this grape. So that's it. And I will talk to you all soon. Bye-bye. Okay, so let's talk about the gardening. So I got a couple of new trees. This one here is a Kaffir Thai lime tree. And this one is a key lime tree. It's a Mexican key lime. Same as, it's just a key lime. Key lime is key lime, doesn't matter. This is our Meyer lemon. It's blooming all over the place. I hope we can get some lemons off of it. A little fig tree. The leaves keep turning yellow. I'm just wondering, is it too cool for it? I don't know. Okay, then let's go over here. And as you will see, we have these lovely peppers here. I have 4 peppers left on this plant. And this one is finally getting the little peppers on it. And these are pretty spicy. And here's the tomatoes. Okay, so we have this very big one now. And then up here I have 2 smaller ones. And I have a smaller one right in there. Right down here, I purchased some fava beans. So 3 came in a little container and I separated them out. They seem to be hanging in there so far. And I also got a little cilantro down here. And then as you can see, look at these weeds have just grown up. I have to dig them all out. And then this one, that's because it's fertilized. Over there, ground is dead. Down there, ground is dead.